This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Thursday, the 8th day of February in the year 2024. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. President Irfan Ali has committed the government's continued investment in the Guyana Defense Force, as he expects the force to continue to rise to face challenges both internally and externally. Speaking in the opening of the GDF Officers Conference this morning, the president said in line with national security priorities, there will be some reorganization of several levels of the GDF. The reorganization, he said, is to ensure that the Guyana Defense Force is always up to the task.
There will be, based on our assessment, some reorientation, reorganizing of the way we do our work and perform our tasks. And of course, we'll have to re-engage at a different level. With the type of assets that we're investing in, there'll be structural changes. To whom much is given, much is expected.
The president told the officers that the GDF must use the conference to deliberate on the shift in the asset base of the force, which will affect a shift in strategy and a shift in positioning of the organization. These shifts, he said, will be to ensure that the force remains efficient and reliable in the face of external threats. President Ali also reiterated Guyana's position of being a peaceful country, but said the GDF must be ready to ensure that the rights of the country and its citizens are not trampled upon by external forces.
Let me be clear. Guyana is committed to the principle of non-aggression, but to remain vigilant and militant in the face of all and any threats. We must never be found blinking, but ever ready to deter and resist any threat to our country. This is the mission of the force, which you, its officers, are committed to lead.
The commander-in-chief also noted that the government's heavy investment in the Guyana Defense Force is to prepare it to respond effectively to challenges and also to protect Guyana's assets and natural resources.
The surveillance not only of our borders, but our investment is to have complete eye of everything that belongs to Guyana, including our exclusive economic zone. That is what these investments are geared towards, giving us a comprehensive and total understanding of everything that occurs within our borders and our exclusive economic zone.
And acknowledging that capacity building is integral to defense, the head of state also emphasized that the Defense Force has a responsibility to equip its personnel with the necessary skills and knowledge to train others. President Ali also announced this morning that the title of Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force will be changed to Chief of Defense of the Guyana Defense Force. And that's in keeping with the reorganization plans for the Defense Force. More news coming up in just a moment.
Thursday, February 22nd.
We're heading to the biggest wet fed of MASH
Splashamani 2024
at the Guyana National Stadium.
Enough water, pulse, enough soca.
The night before the holiday.
Soca star Problem Child. All that Tunji.
Is a party in the engine.
Splashamani, the official wet fed of MASH 2024.
Problem Child,
Olatunji and more to be added.
come, let's soak you down in water and soca.
Early bird tickets 3,000.
Brought to you by Hits and Jams Entertainment.
Fireside Suite, standard and unique. Room fresh and nice, comfortable and neat. 24-hour whole day we a do it. Affordable price down a Garnet Street, yo. Can't vex, cause we top of the line. Fireside are the best, 5-star we a shine. From you come one time, we tag a left on your mind. To tell your family, your friend, them one more time, say. Best service a Fireside Suite. Safety ensured down a Fireside Suite. Price them cheap down a Fireside Suite. Come enjoy your stay down a Fireside Suite. Fireside Suite located at 154 Garnet Street, Kitty. For bookings and reservation, call contact number 623-3473. Matic Queen.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Bust the flavors. We're full of flavors. Bust the flavors, that my crave for. We're full of flavors. Tell your neighbors about the bust the flavors. Grab a bust the flavors. Yeah, thirst buster. Grab a buster. Bust the flavor, taste the savor. Bust the flavors. Bust the flavors.
Returning to that GDF officers conference which opened this morning, there's a renewed pledge from the Chief of Staff, Brigadier Omar Khan, to ensure that the country's peace and stability remain high on the agenda of the Guyana Defense Force. Describing last year as one of the most challenging years for the military, Brigadier Khan said the Guyana Defense Force had to adjust quickly and change the way it operates to address the challenges that arose.
In the main, we continue to operate under increased threats to our territory, and at the same time faced with the challenges of effectively monitoring our air, land and sea spaces. These threats and other related issues will form in most part our deliberations at this conference over the next 48 hours.
Brigadier Khan told his officers that the Guyana Defense Force continues to take note of the trend in global events, citing the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, as well as conflicts in the Middle East. He said the GDF continues to assess the implications for Guyana in the face of those events. Another challenge faced by the GDF last year was the death of 13 of its ranks, including the 5 servicemen who died in a helicopter crash. Brigadier Khan told his officers that their dedication and commitment to the peace and security of the country cannot be overstated.
We remain a critical asset to our country's defense and security posture. The nation is grateful for our service.
And notwithstanding the challenges last year, the Chief of Staff said the GDF has also recorded a number of successes by forging several new strategic relationships while strengthening existing ones. He said the GDF has set out a defense strategy aimed at developing a resilient force, and that will be seen through a number of new initiatives to be undertaken by the force. During the officers' conference, the threats from neighboring Venezuela and the force's work in bordering locations will be addressed, as well as the partnerships that the GDF has been building with its regional and international partners. And we turn our attention now to the strike by teachers. Maintaining that the current teacher strike action is political, Vice President Bara Jagdeo today went on the attack as he sought to explain why teachers are being unreasonable in some of their demands. The strike moved into its fourth day today, with thousands of the nation's teachers putting down their chalk while trying to get the government to the table to negotiate with the Guyana Teachers Union on a multi-year agreement, which was submitted since 2020 by the union. The agreement covers salary and non-salary benefits for the teachers. During a press conference today, Mr. Jagdeo said he has taken note of teachers reminding the government that it had promised to increase their salaries by 50%. He said from the 2015 salary levels to now, teachers have benefited from more than a 50% salary increase.
And teachers have gotten from the 2015 level more than the 50% increase. But under this government alone, graduate teachers have gotten about 33 to 35% increase since we got into office, the skilled teachers. And what's the objective here? The objective has been to ensure that more and more of our teachers go into the skill category so we have better quality education.
The second vice president said the focus of the government has been to improve the education sector generally, adding that while the administration acknowledges the work that teachers do, the ultimate goal in the education sector is to ensure quality education for the nation's children. He said the rehabilitation of several schools, as well as the building of new ones, not only benefits students, but also the teachers. And therefore, he called on the teachers to examine the totality of the benefits they would receive, boasting that over 10% of the budget goes to the education sector.
So the focus has been on several things. On better working conditions for teachers generally and for the students. Because ultimately, it is about the students, the education of our children. Teachers are just one component of this. An important component, and we appreciate the work that teachers have been doing across this country. They've done a great job with our children, but ultimately the goal is to have a better education for our children.
And the vice president said there is a developing problem in the education sector which the government will now be paying closer attention to. And that is the high rate of absenteeism of teachers from the classroom daily. According to Mr. Jagdeo, the records show that over 4,000 teachers are absent from work daily, which he said is unacceptable and will not be allowed to continue. Jagdeo said when records were examined, it was found that a large number of teachers do not show up for work daily, and that puts the burden on other teachers.
On a daily basis, only 70% of our teachers show up to work. So it means that 4,228 teachers of the 14,000 don't show up daily because only 70% show up to work. I know if you have 14,000, 70% of 14,000 show up. So we have to examine this carefully because we're hearing about 6,000 teachers striking now. But if 70% or 4,228 don't show up on a daily basis, then there is a big problem because the state is investing more, it's paying for the teachers, it's putting in a huge sum of public money into health, the education sector for teachers, and what's happening?
Mr. Jagdeo did not provide the source of his information. Neither did he provide details of the absenteeism of teachers by school, education, district, or region. Teachers across the country have been on strike since Monday. The Education Ministry and several government ministers have been on a public relations blitz on social media since the strike started, attacking the union representing the teachers and some of its leaders.
At the most critical life-changing moments, the National Insurance Scheme is here to ensure that your needs are covered. Access reimbursement for medical expenses for various aspects of your medical care. We know that eye care is of utmost importance. Receive assistance with our Spectacle Care voucher. Visiting the dentist? Dental care is also covered under our sickness benefit services. Offset the funeral expenses of a loved one with costs covered by our funeral benefits. National Insurance Scheme. We're there every step of the way.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo, from its pristine rivers to its abundant resources. It's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect, and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
The president of the Guyana Teachers Union, Mark Light, said the union is preparing to take the government to court over its decision to stop deducting union dues from the teachers' salaries. Earlier this week, the government, through the Ministry of Education, announced that the ongoing strike is illegal, and it will therefore no longer act as an agent of the GTU to deduct the monthly dues of $700 each from the salaries of teachers on behalf of the union. But even as he stood on the protest line for a fourth day, the GTU president told News Source that it is the Ministry of Education, through its permanent secretary, that is engaging in an illegal act.
We believe it's an illegal document because the teachers have authorized the deduction. They wrote indicating we give concession for these deductions. So it is not the responsibility or within the power of the permanent secretary to say we are stopping this. So that in itself is a breach. And the fact that you are collecting from others, you're acting as an agent for other entities, but now because you're vexed with GTU, you are not going to collect. So that in itself is marginalization and a case of clear victimization. So we are taking the matter to court, and as I speak, the documents are being filed.
Mr. Light said since a nationwide strike by teachers started on Monday, the Education Ministry and the government have made no attempt to address the issues that have been raised by the teachers, instead choosing to victimize and marginalize teachers because of their strike action. He said it is time for President Irfan Ali to act in the best interest of the teachers and have his agents return to the negotiating table.
I would like to say to President Ali that he needs to get his office right in ensuring that those persons responsible for negotiating, that they come to the table with us. The president goes around saying that he's a man who visits the communities and in touch with the people. And this here is a clear indication of what a lack of in touch is all about. Because teachers should not have been brought on the roadside. If you are in touch, you would hear from the villages, under the bottom house, in your walkthrough, how people are complaining about various issues.
The GTU president said the strike has grown significantly since Monday. According to him, on day one, some 3,900 teachers did not show up for work, and since then that number has surpassed 5,000. The strike, he vowed, will continue until the substantive issue of wages and salaries is addressed. Meanwhile, the former minister responsible for labor under the previous APNU-AFC administration, Simona Brooms, said the Minister of Labor, Joe Hamilton, has failed miserably in the execution of his mandate with respect to the ongoing strike.
Well, I don't believe that Labor has a minister. That's the first thing. He's out of touch. The law that governs the ministry speaks to employer-employee. When it comes to a matter with a union and the employer is the state, the Ministry of Labor has to step in first before making a statement, meet with the union, which are the teachers. So you meet with the union, and America, they even drama to meet with the union and then say, well, go back to government and then come with a position. Because he's a representative of the state in that position. But he's not done that. He's biased.
Broom said instead the Labour minister has taken the side of the government. She said the teachers have every right to protest and their demands should be met. APNU-AFC Member of Parliament Nima Flubes, who is also a teacher by profession, said it is time that the cries of teachers are heard.
Teachers are here for a cause. If our needs are being met, then there will be no need for teachers to be out here raising their voice and asking for our needs to be met. Teachers have rights. Just like how the students have rights, the teachers have rights. And we have seen in the system several deficiencies, and they make us uncomfortable. So we are here demanding better working conditions and wages. And we're demanding that the government engage our union.
The nationwide strike by the teachers has gained the support of other trade unions, a number of political parties, social activists, civil society organizations, and parents. A mid-morning fire gutted 3 houses, leaving at least 10 persons homeless and counting their losses. It was just after 11 o'clock this morning that an alarm was raised that one of the wooden houses was on fire in a squatting area known as Container City, which is located behind the John Finance Container Terminal just off of Mandela Avenue in Georgetown. The fire service initially responded with 1 fire tender from the West Randville station. Eventually, 2 other fire engines joined the firefight as the fire hopped between the houses.
One single house and 4 houses on down. One house, now what can I put what another one? What was going on there? No good water going in there. Getting no pressure there. Over an hour and a half this fire going on. Over an hour and a half.
Confused residents started a bucket brigade from a nearby canal before the fire service's arrival, but their best efforts failed as the fire engulfed the 3 houses. It is suspected that the fire was started by a man of unsound mind who lived in one of the houses. Persons said the man would set wood on fire close to his wooden house whenever he cooks. They explained that just this past weekend, a fire was extinguished at the same house, and despite their warnings, the man was allowed to continue living in the property. He has since been taken into custody in connection with this morning's fire. One of the affected residents, Raul Williams, was at work nearby when he received news that his house was on fire. Still in his work gear, the man broke down in tears as he cried out that he had just completed rebuilding his house after he was affected by a previous fire.
You might be in this girl of fire, only your next start building back with your 4, Mike. And now again, I got to start scratch again, welcome me for start over.
A senior officer at the city constabulary, Jane Boston, also cried out as she rushed to the scene from her job to see that her entire house was gone. The woman said she had repeatedly complained about the presence of the man who reportedly started the fire. She said she lost everything in the blaze and was only left with a uniform that she was wearing.
All we got is that we got here. The government closed. The government closed and don't call me nothing more.
Some other residents in the area supported their neighbors by trying to save as many of their belongings as they could as the fire spread through the area. The fire service was eventually able to extinguish the blaze and save the other houses in the squatting community. One resident said it was only yesterday that Government Minister Kwame McCoy visited the area with promises of ensuring an access road will be completed for the residents, while encouraging them to apply for house lots. There have been efforts over the years to get the residents to move from the area. However, those relocation plans all fell through.
Them not telling nobody behind it. Them not telling no black people like that. Them not telling a party. Them not telling nobody behind their body.
At the fire scene today, Divisional Fire Officer Clive MacDonald, who is in charge of operations for Georgetown, said he was the first to arrive at the scene of the blaze. He said the fire service faced some challenges, but was eventually able to contain the fire.
At about 12 minutes after 11, we received a call at our operations room of a building on fire right here. I was first on scene because I was nearby, and I heard the communication and the transmission, and I responded with my vehicle. Upon my arrival, I observed that one building fully engulfed and 2 other buildings heavily, severely threatened because of the structure and the occupancy. What is taking place? There is a wooden building, and it have a lot of combustible materials, and we know what combustible do. So the first of 10 appliance arrived about 3 minutes after my arrival, that is at West Randville. Immediately that crew went into operation to stop the spread of fire. But by that time it already compromises the 2 other buildings because it's whole 3 minutes. Subsequently, we had a response from Central Fire Station and one from Eccles Fire Station to stop the fire from spreading.
A full investigation is underway tonight. The Guyana police force is tight-lipped on the investigations into the execution-style murder of Georgetown resident Joseph Wilkinson, popularly known as Dreddy. The man died early on Sunday morning after being shot by the occupants of a passing motorcar outside a wake house in the North Ronville area here in Georgetown. Contacted on Wednesday for an update into the murder probe, Crime Chief Wendell Blanham told News Source that the only comment he would offer is that the probe is ongoing. He refused to answer questions about whether any suspect has been identified or is being sought by the police. A post-mortem examination conducted on the body of Wilkinson revealed that he was shot 6 times to the body. Eyewitnesses said he had just stepped away from the wake house to answer a phone call when loud gunshots were heard and the man was seen falling to the ground. A friend who was with him earlier the same night at the wake said he overheard Wilkinson giving directions to the wake house to someone who had called his phone. The friend said he is convinced that someone who was known to the man may have been behind the shooting. News source understands that after Wilkinson was shot, he was still conscious as he was being taken to the hospital and provided the persons who were rushing him to the hospital with the license plate number of the vehicle used in the shooting. He died at a private hospital moments after being taken there. Wilkinson was on the radar of the Guyana Police Force and the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit. 2 years ago, he was arrested and charged in a drug trafficking probe, but was eventually granted bail as the trial got underway. The probe into his murder is ongoing.
Did you know Guyana Super 95 gasoline has an octane rating of 95, the highest rating available in Guyana? This premium fuel is known to enhance the performance of your engine, making it run smoother and more efficiently, leading to better fuel economy and improved performance. Choose Super 95 for more mileage and better overall performance.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Look who's in the mix now. The new Buster Soda Water. 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 artificial flavors. 100% refreshing. Taste Buster Soda Water today. Buster Soda Water. Now available for only $120.
With your regional and international news tonight, I'm Svetlana Marshall. In the region, El Salvador on Thursday kicked off a mass trial to prosecute nearly 500 alleged gang leaders for more than 37,000 crimes committed over a decade, the Central American nation's prosecutor's office said. Reuters in a report said among the accused are 24 MS-13 Top Guns, some of whom have extradition requests out from the United States. They are charged with crimes such as aggravated homicide, kidnapping, and arms trafficking. The prosecutor's office said each crime committed by gang members had to be ordered by the ringleaders, and it will ensure that the criminals pay for the suffering they subjected citizens to for decades. The trial is being held virtually as the accused criminals are being held at various prisons. Some have been in detention for years, while others were captured as part of the country's state of emergency launched in March 2022. Tobago's serene waters were Wednesday marred after an overturned vessel off its southwestern coast near Canoe Bay saw an extensive oil spill, polluting the area, in some cases reaching the coastline. According to Trinidad Express, authorities have not yet been able to determine the vessel's owners, nor the country from which it came, or if the capsizing resulted in the deaths of anyone on board. But by nightfall yesterday, the Tobago House of Assembly said that numerous stakeholders were on the ground attempting to clean up the spill. A release from the Tobago Emergency Management Agency, TEMA, stated that the agency received reports of the overturned vessel off the coast of the Cove Eco Industrial and Business Park, Tobago, on Wednesday morning. However, its North Coast radio did not receive any distress calls from the vessel. And finally tonight, international news. A $95.34 billion bill that includes aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan advanced in the U.S. Senate on Thursday after Republicans blocked compromise legislation that included a long-sought overhaul of immigration policy. Reuters, in a report, said senators backed a procedural motion by 67 to 32, exceeding the 60-vote threshold to advance the bill. 17 Republicans voted in favor, a surprising shift after they blocked the broader bill on Wednesday. There was no immediate word on when the 100-member chamber would consider final passage, as some senators said they expected to remain in session during the weekend, if necessary. The security aid bill includes $61 billion for Ukraine as it battles a Russian invasion, $14 billion for Israel in its war against Hamas, and $4.83 billion to support partners in the Indo-Pacific, including Taiwan, and deter aggression by China. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.